Hello and welcome to the cryptocurrency news channel. I want to talk a little bit about VeChain price action, why it's dropped, and I want to talk a little bit about the vTHO community vote of decreasing the amount of money that it costs to do each transaction by increasing the amount of transactions that each vTHO can do and how that will actually affect price and my thoughts on it. First of all, let's actually get to the reason why VeChain price has dropped a little bit, maybe like 6-7%, not a huge drop. While everything else has gone up a little bit. The main reason is like vTHO, people were speculating on vTHO, it's getting too expensive for transactions. Like to mint an NFT on VeChain, it costs like $7. Obviously the VeChain team doesn't really want that. Unlike Ethereum, they actually care about those things and they will take actions to mitigate the cost because enterprises don't want to use VeChain if vTHO gets more expensive. So obviously they're not going to change VET price because they can't do that. They can't directly change vTHO price, but they can adjust the demand for it. Now, what they actually did is they're holding a vote right now. I think the whole vote goes on for 4 more days, and they have proposals to the community to keep the vTHO the vTHO required per transaction the same as it is now, reduce it by like 50%, reduce it by 90%, reduce it by 95%, or reduce it by 99%. I think the majority of the community has voted to reduce it by 99%. Now, this is actually good long-term for all VET holders, but it is very devastating for people who are speculating on vTHO in the short term. They're basically getting screwed because if they actually reduce the number of vTHO it takes per transaction, that obviously decreases the demand for vTHO until utility can pick back up. Now, the thing is like that the utility doesn't actually have much to do with this right now because even at the current rate, like the utility isn't anywhere close to actually demand that vTHO pump up in price. However, they're basically going to say something like, we're going to reduce it by 99%. So there's like really no chance in the near future that it will actually pump up to that much. So the thing is, it actually kills a lot of the speculative interest in vTHO because it actually reduces the demand for vTHO, at least to speculators' eyes. Now, realistically, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, we're still very far away, even at current burn rate, for the vTHO utility to kick up, but it is completely based on speculation, and killing speculation will actually kill vTHO price, which is what's happening. If you kill vTHO price, you're going to affect VeChain price indirectly, mainly because you're actually killing the staking reward for VET. Although the effect on VET, I think, will be somewhat limited because most people actually, I think, invest in VET for the long term. They're not actually investing for the staking rewards. The staking rewards are very nice, like icing on the cake, but they're investing for the cake itself. And obviously, it's very good for the entire ecosystem that they actually reduce it. I hope they reduce it by like 90%, not 99%, or even 50%. But reducing is good for the community because it gets more enterprises on, and there's a lot of people actually adopting VeChain. And I think it'd be a big hurdle to adopting VeChain for both enterprises and smaller projects if vTHO cost was so high. Like, I know it's still nothing compared to Ethereum. Like I said, Ethereum, it costs like, $70-$80 to mint an NFT, where VeChain, it only costs like $7. But even that $7, like, it could be too much for startups, especially big enterprises like Walmart China, don't want these transactions to be so expensive. So they're taking a community vote. Most community members understand the need, and that's why they're actually going to vote to change the burn rate and make each vTHO actually do more transactions. Now, if this was actually utility based, this would actually help the price of vTHO because you're basically making each vTHO do more transactions. And because it's actually, if it was utility based, that means like there's not enough vTHO, and each vTHO, since it's actually worth more in terms of transactional value, would actually be worth more. But since it's not utility based, it's completely speculative. It does hurt the price of vTHO because it kind of like decreases the need for a lot of vTHO, at least like for the foreseeable future. Now, like I said, most of the vTHO price rise is speculative value. So on a logical level, it shouldn't hurt it at all. But because like if you're a speculator, like you basically just like, okay, we were like 30% there. Now we're just like 1% there. But realistically, it doesn't make any difference. But on a mental level, on a psychological level, I think it does play into people's minds, and people aren't going to want to hold on to vTHO because, the speculation that the treasure is not there currently. So it's going to actually go down. It's going to make vTHO price go down. It may make VeChain price go down in the short run. But however, I really don't think it's going to affect it in the long run. I think it's actually a very good decision by the VeChain community in the long run. See, like when the VeChain Foundation actually designed vTHO, they never really designed each transaction to cost that much money. Like it's not like the Ethereum kind of like formula where like if each transaction costs a lot of money, then people will want to stake it more, or people will want to mine it more because the miners make more money, and then that's how you get drive the price up by inflating the cost of transaction, so everyone wants to mine it. That's kind of like how Ethereum works, but then it's like slowing down Ethereum adoption because no one wants to pay the prices. vTHO VChain doesn't actually have miners. Obviously, it's like staking, and there's a set like amount that there is, so that doesn't really apply to the tokenomics. However, my thoughts are like I think it's good for the community. I don't get to vote because I don't actually have a node. You have to have like either a regular node, an X node, or an authority node to actually vote. I think like it's almost certain that they're going to actually decrease the amount of vTHO required for each transaction because it is heavily in favor. It's like 99% to 1% that the community actually wants to reduce. A lot of the community are long-term holders. There's not that many vTHO speculators. There's really not that many vTHO speculators within the community. They make up an insignificant small portion, and most of the community actually agree with the team. So I don't know if they're going to reduce it by 99% or reduce it by 90% or whatever. I guess like they'll have to discuss it among themselves, but it is almost sure that they are actually going to reduce it. So right now, for price action wise, if you're looking for short-term vTHO, if you have some, you might want to sell some of it for profit, and then maybe just hold VET or something else. Like I said, I've always thought VET was a better long-term hold than vTHO because VeChain really has no incentive to actually lower the price of VET, but they do have incentive to indirectly affect the price of vTHO where their transactions aren't worth all that much, don't cost that much money. So like speculation on vTHO, they're going to turn levers to control. Speculation on VeChain, they don't really care all that much. So if you're looking for speculative pumps that won't be killed by the foundation themselves, I do think VeChain is the better coin. But overall, I'm actually glad for the changes that they're making. It hasn't really impacted VET price all that much. And I think it'll still rise past 10 cents this month. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.